A formal hypothesis test is to be conducted to test the claim that the wait times at the Space Mountain ride in Walt Disney World have a mean equal to 35 minutes. In Part A, what is the null hypothesis and how is it denoted? Okay, so let's take a look at the question here. We want to highlight the specific information that we want to look at. Okay, so first thing is first, what we're doing here is that we're testing a claim. So it says we're testing a claim that the wait times at the Space Mountain ride in Walt Disney World have a mean equal to 35 minutes. Okay, so what we need to do is, in order to figure out the claim, we need to write down what it's asking us. Well, the claim says that we're saying that the mean, and that is represented by mu, is equal to 35 minutes. Okay, and now what we're going to do is, what is the opposite of the claim? So we're just going to abbreviate it as OPP for the opposite of the claim. So we're still going to have the mean here, and then we're still going to have 35. Okay, now the opposite of the equal sign is the not equal sign. And so now we can determine what is going to be the null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis. So recall here that the null hypothesis is always going to contain the equal sign. And then this represents the alternative hypothesis. Okay? So every time we have the null hypothesis, this represents the null hypothesis, and this represents the alternative hypothesis. And now we need to look at the claim or the opposite of the claim. Which one of these contains the equal sign? Well, the claim does. And the equal sign always goes with the null hypothesis. So therefore, we're going to say that the null hypothesis is going to be the population mean, which is equal to 35. Okay? And then the opposite of that is then going to be the alternative hypothesis. So therefore, the alternative is going to be the population mean not equal to 35. So let's go ahead and try our results. So over here, it says the null hypothesis, which is H subscript O. Okay, and then what are we testing? The claim that we're testing is the mean. So we have to use the symbol for the population mean, which is mu. And then in the alternative, you should see that the population mean is equal to the number 35. So we're going to take the equal sign and set that equal to 35 minutes, and let's check our answer. And there is our result. Okay, now it says, what is the alternative hypothesis and how is it denoted? Well, here is the alternative hypothesis, and that is H1. So we know H1 represents the alternative hypothesis. We know that we're using the population mean, and now we know that we have not equals to 35. So this is going to be the not equal sign for 35 minutes, and then press enter, and then there is our result. Now it says, what are the possible conclusions that can be made about the null hypothesis, and then select all that apply. Okay, well, there are only two that we can say. We could either B, reject the null hypothesis, or C, we fail to reject the null hypothesis. Those are the only two options. Let's go ahead and check our answer, and there is our result. Okay, now in part D it says, is it possible to conclude that there is sufficient evidence to support the claim that the mean wait time is equal to 35 minutes. And in this case, we would say no, because hypothesis tests can only find sufficient evidence to support a claim when the claim does not contain equality. And there is our result.